My name is ARK Lyles, and this is News from the Can. So this is a follow-up to this video here. That what happened is I got caught in a it was a Tesla Impersonator channel. I don't remember what the name of the actual channel is, but they got deleted. It doesn't really matter. But they were doing they were live streaming. What they had done is they had captured this video, which is on ARK Invest, on the ARK Invest channel, ARK Invest channel. They had captured it. This video here is actually, this was live streamed a year ago, about a year ago. Let me see what the date is on this. July 21st, 2021. This guy's name is Steve Lee. He's the lead of Square Crypto. Square is Jack Dorsey's company. Jack Dorsey started Square. It's actually part of Block Incorporated. It was formerly known as Square Incorporated. It was started by Jack Dorsey and Jim McKelvey. Now, Jack Dorsey, this video, so I started watching it, and I'm like, well, this is interesting, and it's because it's about the history of Bitcoin and things like that. But it was deleted. The channel was deleted, a couple of minutes in, and I thought it was interesting, so I started screen capturing it. And when it was deleted, I thought, well, that's kind of crazy. I guess I better see what's really going on there. What these guys talking about stuff that's, let me show you. So this is a year ago. There's Elon. So Elon's face is looking kind of puffy, and here's Jack Dorsey. Steve Lee is the moderator of the discussion, the panel discussion. Well, Steve Lee works for Jack Dorsey, so it's kind of an inside, it's kind of an inside job here, because Jack Dorsey owns the company that's, right, Square. And Square is, I think of Squarespace and stuff, but Square it's a small business payment platform aimed at small and medium businesses. And the name comes from a little square device that plugs into your phone, so it has a card reader on it and all that stuff. So, other than Twitter, Jack Dorsey owns this. Well, Square, I'm just going to get dense here for a second. Square, Jack Dorsey and Jim McKelvey's, this is Jim McKelvey here. This company, they went public in 2015, and I forget what their market cap is. It's a pretty good little bit. They said they got a revenue of $17.66 billion in 2021. So that's, it's pretty. Operating income $232.24 million. But anyway, Jack Dorsey owns 10% of it apparently. Got a nice little this is Wikipedia, by the way. I just made a donation again. December, they always hit you up for a donation. I made my donation. By the way, Elon Musk makes a donation to Wikipedia. Elon Musk is kind of hard to read, but there's a lot of stuff that he's done that's, without getting into the weeds too much, is pretty cool. I mean, they're friends. Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk are friends. And so Elon Musk bought Twitter from his friend at an inflated price. So Elon buys Twitter from his friend Jack Dorsey for twice as much as the company was worth, and $44 billion. Elon Musk is from Africa, so he knows about the problems that are endemic to Africa in general. Jack Dorsey was going to move to Africa in 2021. Elon Musk takes over Twitter, takes it private, and immediately starts kicking the doors off the hinges and blowing the fucking toilets up with fire, that's a euphemistic terminology, but he brought a sink in with him, let that sink in, and immediately started just tearing the place apart, just firing everybody on the place. And okay, Jack Dorsey got in some shit because Twitter in Africa is nothing. We have what they call the platinum version of Twitter in the United States. Twitter in Africa is like a fucking hate speech hell zone. You know, it's just look at some of these. Let's see. This is about crypto. El Salvador made Bitcoin their state currency, their legal tender in El Salvador. The president of El Salvador spent more than $100 million buying Bitcoins, and now it's worth less than $50 million. So, but what these guys were all about in the beginning, Bitcoin was from the beginning a community. So you can see Jack Dorsey's wearing a tie-dye shirt and everything, and he looks like a character out of Star Trek or something like that. You know what I mean? And so he's peace, love, and granola, right? Supposedly. So maybe their intentions are good. Africa has a lot of problems, and Jack Dorsey got a lot of heat. Wired. Jack Dorsey's Twitter failed African countries. So Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He was going to be moving to Africa for up to 6 months in 2020. His high-profile, month-long tour of the continent where he visited Nigeria, and they just gave him a bunch of shit about it. They just calling him, a colonist, essentially. Facebook wants to get into Africa. Everybody wants to get into Africa. Africa's the new big hot thing. So Jack Dorsey owns a whole bunch of different businesses that are all key to Africa. And let me get to here. Here's this. This is African countries with the lowest median ages as of 2022. Niger, the median age is 14.8. Median age. Uganda, median age 15.7. Angola, median age 15.9. Mali, I should really start with this. Mali, median age 16.1. Chad, 16.1. Democratic Republic of Congo, 16.7. Mali, 16.8. Zambia, 16.9. Mozambique, 17. I don't know how to pronounce that. Benin, probably, 17. Burundi, 17.7. Burkina Faso, 17.9. And I could probably go down, maybe? Well, whatever. But you get the idea, okay? In Niger, it's 14.8. Okay, so this is low-hanging fruit. This is a continent of low-hanging fruit for the businesses that Jack Dorsey is in. Afterpay is a digital payment platform in which a bought product can be paid off in 4 installments. Weebly is a web hosting service. Tidal is a digital music streaming service. Jay-Z apparently is involved in this. One of the investors is MC Hammer. If anybody remembers MC Hammer, basically the bottom line, financial acquisitions. So it's just a voluminous. All the businesses that Jack Dorsey's been keenly interested in Africa, like everybody else, Zuckerberg and Facebook, they're all viewed as anybody that wants to get in. Let's not forget about the Toilet King, Bill Gates, and so okay. Jack Dorsey has these businesses that are basically target. That's the business that he's in is music streaming and all this stuff, but it's off-brand names I never heard of except for Square. I'd heard of Square and Twitter. So the upshot is like Twitter is this hate speech hellscape in Africa, and Dorsey was having problems because he was not able. Somebody was giving him shit about how he was hanging out with Jay-Z in the Hamptons and on Hawaii in a yacht. And January 10th, he was reported mulled over whether to ban Donald Trump and on Twitter when he was in French Polynesia. Then 2 years and days, and he declared and blah blah blah. And who gives a fuck? The guy's rich as fuck. These guys are just. They care. You know what I'm saying? Everybody cares, right? But they want to invest, and Africa is fraught. with a lot of problems. And one of them is, you have all of these despotic rulers. It's a patchwork of despotic rulers. There's no unified Africa. So what needs to really happen in Africa is, and they need to have some sort of unification and around the world, really. I mean, that's what's really required. So there are a lot of rural areas. The problem in Africa is generating power, reliable power sources, patchwork of less than reliable despotic rulers and warlords and shit like that, and internet. So, this is a partnership made in heaven. You got Starlink. Obviously, Starlink, and there's this is something Bill Gates was talking about. They're trying to get reliable power and internet into Africa. I mean, that's like the holy grail right now, because it's this exploding market with demographic numbers that look like this. I mean, it's like a social media mogul's fucking wet dream. They're all teenagers. The median age of the entire continent of Africa is like probably under 20. So it's just juicy, low-hanging fruit, and these fuckers want to get in there and become multi-trillionaires, doing whatever the hell they're trying to do. So I know everybody's down on. So that's the narrative. Elon Musk buys Twitter from his friend. Jack Dorsey had been getting heat about his being the CEO of Twitter when he has this so invested in this other, in Block Incorporated, and all these other businesses and all this other shit they're trying to do in Africa. So it's like too much for him. He probably wants to focus on this other stuff, and maybe he's tired of messing with it. But it just so happens that maybe, deals have to be made in Africa in order to get these businesses working, in order to network together this crazy patchwork of different despotic landscapes. They have to make some deals with some bad actors, which is always the case. My dad worked overseas. He started working in Saudi Arabia. My dad died in 1995, but I got a chance to travel a little bit. And one of the things that you learn when you, anytime you're working in, at that time, anytime you were working in Southeast Asia, or you were working in Saudi Arabia, for God's sake, or any place like that, and anywhere around the Middle East, you were going to have to pay somebody off. That's just even in America, you got to pay people off. That's just how it is. Corruption is, I don't want to say it's rampant everywhere, but it's around, and it's some places it's rampant, and certainly in Africa. Some places are probably better than others, but it's sort of a new frontier. It's a very young frontier, and these guys are just chomping at the bits. They're just salivating to get in there. All of them, because it's juicy fruit. Come on. So I'm wondering what gives, and what's up with fucking Elon? What the hell's wrong with him? Is he, my wife says his face is puffy. He looks like he might be a hard drinker. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's losing his mind, or I don't know if it's game. Because see, guys, this is his friend, right? These guys are trying to get in Africa. Maybe there's deals that have to be made. Elon wants to not to have to pay as much taxes on all the, on his, his realized profit from his Tesla stocks. So he invests in a giant loss in Twitter, but he doesn't really lose it because he's paying it to his friend, so to speak. Now, I know there's other investors, and Jack Dorsey doesn't own the whole spiel, doesn't own the entirety of Twitter, but that's $44 billion being paid to whoever's involved in that. That's a large chunk of money going. They're talking about in this video, they're talking about peer-to-peer transfers of money to and from Africa, and between countries in Africa and things like that, which is the business that Jack Dorsey is principally in. So, and now, and Twitter is known to be a big means of communication for the downtrodden, if you will, for people in Africa and around the world, really. People who want to communicate their issues with the environment, with despotic rule, with violence, ethnic cleansing, whatever the fuck, hate, with whatever they're struggling with, government-wise or whatever. Elon takes over, and he's making this big splash, basically kicks the doors off all the fucking hinges and breaks all the toilets, if you know what I mean, so to speak, fires everybody and stuff like that. Nobody's minding the story. Where are all the fucking safety and so-called whatever people? When Twitter moved into Africa, they hired engineers and salespeople and stuff like that, but they didn't hire any of the safety and security people, whatever the fuck they call that. You know what I mean? They didn't hire anybody to manage the moderation, the site moderation. So it's just totally off the chain. Now they have a reason to, I don't know, maybe there's some inconvenient voices on Twitter in Africa that somebody might want to have silenced for a trade. You know what I mean? To look the other way on a transfer of cash, or, maybe they want to buy something. Maybe they want to buy a physical mineral mine or something like that. I mean, Elon Musk, the business that he's in is, these guys, they need rare earth metals. They need rare earth materials. I don't know, there's this big Africa connection here, and Twitter is in the middle of it. So, because the guy just basically, he's, you gotta scratch your head. You gotta well, what the hell's going on here? And now he's talking about, Elon Musk has never really been, he's always been a moderate. He voted for Joe Biden supposedly in 2020, and he's not when you watch this video here, this is just last year, the guy's he doesn't come off like an asshole. He certainly doesn't come off like an idiot. There's a lot of this shit around that people are, he's an idiot, and all this kind of stuff. And, really they're feeding a narrative that's not true. That Elon's just, the people have to work around him, and which may be true. The guy is just on all the time, and he's raised the stakes to where a lot of people just can't hang working for him. So, and he might be losing it. The guy's, might be having a little midlife crisis and stuff, and he might be losing his mind a little bit. He might need to dry out for a little while. If he's taking Adderall or anything like that, sounds like I said before, it is possible to break your fucking brain. For real. So if it's anything like that, then yeah, you might want to take a little hiatus. Hand it off to somebody else. Take a little hiatus. I did a video recently about the most valuable asset in the world, and the most valuable commodity in the world is trust. And people have said the most valuable commodity is time, and one of them says the most valuable commodity is information. And I meant to get that into the video, but it's okay. I really didn't want it to be that long. But no, trust. If you have trust, then you can delegate the time to other people. If you have the trust, you don't need to expend all extra time. And if you have the trust, then you don't have to worry so much about information gathering, if you know what I mean. So you start violating trust, and that's a problem. But it looks funny. He buys Twitter. They both have an interest in, Starlink, is part of that internet across Africa maybe thing. Elon's from Africa. He's from South Africa. His parents are, his dad is his family is in the mineral extraction business. I've mentioned this before. The whole electric car thing, it does not hurt the mineral extraction business at all. It's not any kind of game changer in terms of that. They talk about in the links, that if you look at the links in the description, they talk about the motto in the early 2000s when these guys were coming up. The motto was move fast, break things. So these are kind of like this, they're this community-oriented, this is where their roots are. Their roots are this community-oriented, good guy, change agent ethos. Move fast, break things. Presumably that the things they want to break are the things that are not useful anymore, that are old, that are maybe in the way, antiquated. So they want to usher in a new thing, and the whole thrust of this here, and remember now, this guy Lee here works for Jack. He works for Jack. And the guy moderating the thing here works for Jack Dorsey. So maybe not directly, but and ARK Invest, I have no idea, which is Cathie Wood works for ARK Invest, and she's got some interesting things to say. But what they're talking about in this video is they're talking about what Bitcoin is. So Bitcoin, on Saturday Night Live, Elon Musk, kind of was as a joke, he said, well, what is Bitcoin? And he's like, well, it's a hustle. It's not a hustle. It's not. Bitcoin grew out of a community. So and Jack Dorsey talks about it. You should really watch this video. I know it's long. It's about an hour. I'd go to the little gear thing here, and if you go here and go to the playback speed and just, kick it up a notch, that's what I do. Sometimes, it depends on what I'm doing, what time of day or something. Sometimes I can get it to play at double speed. If you can handle it, and you just have to spend half the time watching it. But I would watch it on regular speed just because it's interesting. Because Jack Dorsey's talking about that old, it reminds him of the internet in the beginning, when the internet in the beginning was a community, and everything is, they always do their stuff. Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk, they're all about open source. They do everything open source, and about greasing the wheels of change. And what they're really talking about is being able to remove impediments to the transfer of funds, which is a problem in Africa. And it's legitimately, Jack Dorsey says, to go sending money from one country to another, which is probably just, Africa's huge, but sending it from one country to another can cost anywhere from 10 to 30%. That's a lot of money. It's like a big gouge. So they're looking for ways to beat the system. That's really what it boils down to. And so what they're finding out is that Africa's a tough fucking nut to crack. Africa's a big fat fucking mess. You know what I'm saying? So, and now they're labeled as Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg are labeled as white colonists. That's the brand that you get hit with over there with Twitter. Twitter is just colonization and shit like that. So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. I don't know what's up with Elon lately. I don't know if it's, he's disenchanted with, politics. He's used as a punching bag on the left a lot. It's really hard to say what's going on. Well, it's because, all wealth is derived from labor. So he'd like to get, Elon Musk has a knack. His stock and trade is being able to extract every last fucking drop of blood out of out of his laborers who have to use their minds, have to use their brains a lot more than many other places. And so he just is able to extract a lot out of his workforce. But I'm here to tell you that that's what we can see now. That only works if we're trying to go somewhere. If this is a revolution, we're trying to go to Mars, we're trying to do something big. Yeah, I'm with you, man. You know what I'm saying? If this is a revolution, if you're a change agent, if you're going to change something, but if it's just about you and your ego and making you richer, then fuck you. I mean, that's, you know, you learn a lesson. This is the lesson that, and I'm going to shut up because I think you probably get it at this point. It's more complicated than just simple greed. It's more complicated than that. These guys, their roots are in community, are in change, and in bringing the world together. That's their roots. So I don't think that they don't have necessarily evil roots here. And the lesson that Elon Musk is going to find out, and everybody finds out, everybody who's ever been famous, what they eventually find out sooner or later is you go out on stage, nobody wants you. They want what you're bringing. They want what you produce. Right? Like Bryan Cranston, he did a whole bunch of other stuff. Malcolm, what is it, Malcolm in the Middle? What's the show that he was in or something? Originally, he did some other stuff, some silly stuff here and there, but he didn't really make it big until Breaking Bad. And then he moved on and he did some other stuff that was pretty interesting. He played LBJ and stuff like that, but come to find out, is it Bryan Cranston that you really want, or do you really want Walter White? Do you really want that liberation? And that's what really they're looking for. They want something. They want liberation. Are you the liberator? What they want is liberation. They don't want the liberator. It's fun to bring the liberator in when they give you the liberation. You bring them in and thank them with the party and whatever. But they don't really want whoever you actually are. They want your character. They want that bravado, that freedom that comes from that bravado. They want that swagger. Well, this is what we think. We think we can liberate you from whatever burden you have. So, nobody wants you. They want the liberation. They want the promise. So I'm like, is this another false hope come on, just to make some money? It could be, but I got to tell you something. And people bitch about it. They say that Elon Musk he's really an idiot and stuff. Well, the fact of the matter is, when it comes to Elon Musk, the Raptor rocket engine really is all that in a bag of fucking chips. Really is a game changer. The Tesla fucking semi really is all that in a bag of chips. No kidding. Grid scale Tesla battery systems are really all that in a bag of chips, are sought after. Right? Gigawatt scale battery systems. Whoever the fuck thought of that? I'm like, I heard that. When I heard him say that, he just said it like in a matter of fact, well, you use a battery. A big battery to use in there. I'm like, battery? Sounded like the craziest shit I ever heard in my fucking life. I was like, battery? The fuck is he talking about? That's the craziest. Of course. Because a battery is a voltage supplier. A voltage supplier gives you as much current as you need, all the current that you need to maintain a certain voltage. So it's like, oh, it's a voltage source. Of course. Like, of course, it's a voltage source. A voltage source produces all the current you need to produce a certain voltage. And that's what you need for grid scale to maintain the frequency. That's what you gotta have. You need that. That's exactly what you need is a fucking battery. And he called it. And they make gigawatt scale batteries that are sought after because they work, and they don't just work, they kick ass. The Plaid, the Tesla Plaid, Model S Plaid, is the fastest fucking car ever made. Goes from 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. I mean, they just fucking, all the shit that he does is game-changing kick-ass. So, you know, say what you want. You know, but the fact of the matter is, the shit the guy produces kicks ass. He's getting it done. It gets done. He's delivering the goods. So, you know, anybody that's standing there talking about, he's an idiot, they probably don't know what's going on. But what I would say to Elon is, you know, if you really are fucking losing it, you know, that puffiness around your face, Holmes, whatever you're doing, you might want to back off of that, because that looks like a motherfucker's about to drop dead. Okay? I'm just going to give it to you blood raw. I say this out of love. You know what I mean? Hand it off to somebody else for a while. Cool it. That's what I would say. Take a hiatus. Eat right. And if you're taking any kind of medicine, just kind of sort of ease off of that stuff. I mean, I know he probably made some changes and shit. You're not going to do the world any good if if you croak. And if you ever got COVID, you know, it's going to mess with your cardiovascular system. It just is. It just is. This is known. They said this right from Jump Street. I don't know what everybody's complaining about. They predicted last year that there was going to be a tsunami of cardiovascular events, including stroke and what have you. So, you know, they're pulling to put these giant clots out of people, you know, in the mortuary, and supposedly has to do with the vaccine or something like that. I'm like, yeah, they talked about that from the very beginning. That's why China locked their whole country down, which I guess they're letting up on that. And, you know, anyway, that's that. You know, I have kind of a love for these guys. They're doing it, but you know, there's a cost for running hard, 24/7, 7 days a week for decades. And when you break, it's bad. You know, it's bad. You break that fucking transaxle in your fucking head. And, you know. So, anyway, links are in the description. Take care, guys. You know, take it with a grain of salt, whatever you're going to do. But there it is. Ain't no good guys, ain't no bad guys. There's only you and me, and we just disagree. But that's it in a nutshell. This is the median age of all these countries in Africa, and that's what's up. That's what's happening. You know, peer-to-peer. You know, they keep talking about peer-to-peer transferring money and shit like that, and I think that whole shit may just cave in. You know, and if we lose ground on on a lot of the stuff that they're working on, it'll suck. It won't be good. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching. You know, if you like this material, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. But, you know, I really don't give a fuck. This is my voice. That's the only reason I do this. Thanks. Love you guys. See you. Bye.